Well, hello everyone and welcome to Leeds, an exclusive live stream event being brought to you by Wonder Leeds as part of Leeds Digital Festival 2021. I'm Dave Holloway, and over the next 45 minutes, I'm hoping to change the way that many of you think about business development forever. We'll do that by introducing you to a remarkably positive approach to outbound marketing, proved to be almost 20 times more effective than cold calling at generating warm leads. And the best part, it doesn't require you to sell your soul in the process. That approach is personalized video marketing. We'll explore the type of people it can benefit, the best process to follow, and the unprecedented results they can deliver. My presentation will last just over half an hour, after which we'll have a 15-minute Q&A. If any questions spring to mind, then please post yours in the chat and I'll do my best to get through them all at the end of the session. Now, this live stream is being recorded, so if you have any technical issues halfway or you need to shoot off early, then don't worry, you'll be able to access a full playback for the next 14 days by revisiting this link. If that all sounds okay, then let's get this show on the road. So for those of you that don't know me, you might well be asking what makes me qualified to lead this session. And that is a good question. And the honest answer is that if you'd have told me 4 years ago whether one day I would be doing a live stream focused on effective business development, I'd have absolutely laughed my head off. That's because for more than 10 years running a company, business development was my number one headache. And not just any company, a marketing agency no less. Not only was I routinely experiencing my own business development headaches, but I had daily exposure to the attempts of clients trying to wrestle with their own. Over the years, I tried everything my time, budget and morals would allow. Cold calling, email marketing, networking, direct mail, exhibitions, advertising, PR, all played various roles in my ever-evolving business development playbook, and all ended up costing me a lot in both time and money, with little reward to show for it. I ended up relying too heavily on customer loyalty, word of mouth and inbound marketing, which frequently left me at the mercy of forces that I couldn't control. In truth, the reason I'm presenting to you all today is primarily through desperation. I was desperate for a way to actively generate quality B2B leads for my business. Desperate to fight against the generic one-size-fits-all spam that plagues my inbox and in-trade daily. Desperate to avoid wasting time and money, neither of which I could afford to lose. Above all, I was desperate to leave the people I approached with a lasting positive impression of me and my business. Because in the words of Warren Buffett, it takes 20 years to build a reputation, 5 minutes to ruin it. And if you think about that, you'll do things differently. Well, thankfully, perseverance and a healthy dose of good fortune would lead me to a solution. And it's not just a solution. It absolutely knocks the socks off of any other form of business development I've ever come across. And that solution is personalized video marketing. Now, not only are my outbound headaches a thing of the past, but it's led me on a journey to help others overcome similar challenges. I've written a best-selling book, I've delivered workshops to global brands, and I've taught over 17,000 students from more than 150 countries through my online course. Today, I'm going to share some of that knowledge with you in the hope that some of you can start to unlock the puzzle that took me more than a quarter of my life to solve. So what is personalized video marketing? Well, in a nutshell, it is a way to proactively approach customers, individuals you want to build a professional relationship with, without sacrificing your time, your money, or your integrity. To be clear, it is not a single video that you record and send to a bunch of different people. That is content marketing, and your prospects will have seen it done 100 times before. We are talking about a bespoke piece of content specifically created for an audience of one. It is a brilliant option for anyone responsible for sales or business development within a company. However, it is especially suited to small businesses where the person responsible for business development, more often than not the business owner, is not a natural salesperson. These people often find selling, particularly outbound selling, a challenging and sometimes downright miserable activity. Now, while anyone can get started with sending personalised videos, it's far trickier to execute it effectively. And that's why I've designed the Leeds process to help people learn from the mistakes and successes that I had to learn the hard way. Now, that process is broken down into 6 key steps: connecting, storytelling, filming, publishing, messaging, and measuring. And we will explore each one a little bit further now. Now, the first part of the process is connecting. And you might be wondering why we're talking about connecting. Surely we can just create a video and send it on an email. Well, one thing you will have undoubtedly realised is that creating personalised videos requires a certain investment of time. Now, the success or failure of the approach depends on the percentage of people who watch your videos, not the number created. Now, while you could send a cold email, GDPR permitting, of course, it isn't the best strategy, not by a long shot. If we take a look here at the benchmark stats from MailChimp, you can see that the average open rates for email marketing across all industries is less than 22%, and click-through rates are less than 3%. This includes the ones where people have actively chosen to hear from the sender. Now, for cold approaches, you can guarantee that these statistics will be much lower than that. Because embedding of videos into emails is badly supported, basically it doesn't work on Outlook, Gmail, Android or Yahoo. The key stat here is the click-through rate. Now, clearly nobody can afford to waste time creating 97 out of 100 videos that will never be seen. And that's why the recommended delivery vehicle for personalised videos is messaging through social networks, and in particular through LinkedIn. LinkedIn is an ideal vehicle for distribution because not only is it the biggest professional network in the world, but it's a hotbed of B2B activity. The reason we talk about connecting as a first step in the process is that personalised videos are most effective when they are sent to first-degree connections. In other words, to people who have already granted you permission to be part of their world. Now, this means that sending them via LinkedIn's in-mail feature is an equally bad idea. If we take a look here at the stats provided by LinkedIn themselves, then you can see that the open rate for in-mail is nearly triple that of email. However, the all-important click-through rate is still miserably low at only 3.6%. The reason is that, like cold email, in-mail doesn't have permission, which means that most people associate them with spam and either give them a cursory glance or ignore them completely. Now, if you want to maximize the chances of a personalized video message being seen, then get permission by trying to connect with someone first. Now, if they accept, then you have been given an initial green light that will vastly increase the chances of any subsequent messages being read. When you are selecting people to reach out to, the most important lesson to remember is focus. Now, you have to get down to a macro level and really analyze who you need to speak to in order to avoid wasting your time. The tighter your niche, the more relevant the offering and the more likely someone else is to engage with you. So you need to think really hard about who you want to contact and what might encourage them to connect with you. Whether that's through shared connections and interests, a relevant welcoming profile, an interesting hook, you need to find ways to make them interested enough in what you have to say to let you be part of their world. The second part of the process is storytelling. Now, it's all very well grabbing someone's attention with a personalised video, and You probably will. But what happens next? Now, storytelling is about creating a compelling narrative for your business and crafting a prospect journey that fits into the B2B buying process. Because the reality is that for many B2B products and services, buying windows are far apart. And we're talking years, not weeks. In fact, recent data from the Ehrenberg Bass Institute found that up to 95% of businesses are not in the market for most goods and services at any one time. The core purpose of a personalised video is, of course, to proactively generate warm leads, but it is not to generate them immediately. The primary objective is to get yourself on the radar so that when those buying windows do open, you are in pole position to have a great conversation. With that in mind, the script that you composed for your personalised videos should adhere to 3 key principles. The first is brevity. Now, brevity is important because you don't want to take up any more time than necessary. People are busy and attention spans are notoriously short. The second is value. Value is important because you need to explain why your service will benefit the individual you are contacting. It's only when value is clearly visible that people are motivated to make a purchase. And the third is empathy. And empathy is fundamental because it's the cornerstone of successful outbound marketing. Why? Well, the purpose of marketing is to build a meaningful relationship between someone providing a product and service and the people most likely to benefit. Meaningful relationships occur when there is a shared empathy. In other words, when I feel appreciated by you and you feel appreciated by me. In the case of outbound sales and marketing, the onus is on the seller to create that initial feeling of empathy because they are the ones making the first move. Now, sadly, most outbound activity displays precisely zero empathy. There's no interest in the individual or an appreciation of what they might prefer. It's simply a deluge of self-promotion and short-term thinking to as many who will listen. There is simply too much marketing noise out there these days for that approach to work. And what's the result? Well, people simply. The more you can demonstrate empathy by ditching the corporate persona and treating people as the individuals that they are, the more space you create for them to respond in kind. And that's why empathy is so important in outbound marketing. Now, once you have an impactful script, the next part is the one that most people are intimidated by: filming your videos. Now, if you are totally new to video, then don't worry. I was too when I started out. It always takes a while at first, but you soon get into the swing of things. To give you an example, it took me the best part of a day to produce my first 5 videos. I was nervous, I kept making mistakes, and I wanted to redo things over and over. A couple of weeks later, I had filmed and delivered 15 videos in less than 2 hours. Now, it really does get much quicker with practice. Half the battle is good preparation and knowing what you are trying to achieve in the production of your videos. Now, the temptation for many might be to shoot something casually on their mobile phone. And yes, it is a quick way of creating content, and any personalized video will be an improvement on the usual generic rubbish that most people get. However, I would advise against it. That's because the aim of your video shouldn't be to start any old sales conversation. Your aim should be to start profitable sales conversations. And that's because conversations about price always gravitate to the perceived level of value. If you achieve a high perception of value, then the expectation of the person you are contacting is that they are dealing with a high value business, and the conversation will flow in that direction. If the perceived value is low, then the value of that conversation will reduce accordingly. To help explain why, just think about how all of us constantly filter our buying decisions. We can instantly tell whether a car, a toaster, A restaurant or a brochure looks more expensive than the one sitting next to it, whether we've had any design training or not. The reason is that we are bombarded with these types of visual comparisons all day, every day. Now, you might not be able to put your finger on exactly what makes a video look high quality, but you'll know one when you see one, and so will the person you are contacting. Now, profitability lies here, in the space between how much something costs and the perceived market value. In other words, how much someone is willing to pay for it. If you can achieve a high quality look in your videos, then you are increasing the perception of value in you and your business. And that lays the foundations for profitable conversations down the line. Now, that's not to say you have to go mad. We haven't got time to go into them here, but there are loads of ways to achieve a professional finish without spending much money. You can use a basic DSLR camera like this, or even a smartphone as a pro webcam with the right bit of software. And any video can be vastly improved by choosing an interesting background and good lighting. It simply takes a bit of experimentation and effort up front. Now, high production value doesn't mean you also have to be super professional. In fact, the ideal style to aim for on camera is relaxed and conversational. You don't want your videos to feel like a sales pitch. Your aim should be to build a rapport with the person you are speaking to. After all, people buy from people that they know, like and trust. And the best way to convey those characteristics is to talk to the camera the way that you talk to a good friend. Now, once you have filmed your videos, you'll need to do a bit of light touch editing before giving them a home. Now, video editing sounds complicated, but really it's a doddle. I do all mine in iMovie, but there's loads of other free or cheap alternatives out there like Filmora, which can easily do the job. All you need to do is trim the footage, remove some background noise, which I can do with one click up here, and hit export. It takes 1 to 2 minutes max per video once you know what settings to apply. Once the videos are edited, they are ready for publishing. And rather than just attaching the video to a LinkedIn message, which is possible, but I advise against, our recommended approach is to publish your video to one of these, its own personalized landing page. There are 3 main benefits to doing this. First, you can create an even more personalized experience for the viewer, raising the perceived value of your communication even further. Secondly, you can influence the journey you want to take people on by adding relevant calls to action, just like the button just below here. And thirdly, you also have the opportunity to monitor the engagement your videos generate by analysing landing page visits, video plays and clicks. Now, there are 2 primary ways we'd recommend for creating your landing pages. The first is to add new functionality that allows you to add landing pages on your existing business website. You can then use your existing web analytics to track engagement. And this is precisely what I did when I first started out. The downsides are it requires some help from your web developer, which means a cost investment. And it can be a challenge to keep on top of all the elements you'll need to manage content, host videos, track engagement, and generally stay on top of all your activity. If you need a simpler solution, then you may also want to check out our SOCIALASER software. Now, it is an all-in-one video hosting and analytics platform specifically designed for personalized video marketing through LinkedIn. It means you can be up and running in minutes and will instantly know when someone views your landing page, watches your video, or clicks a call to action. Now, if you want to find out more, simply scan the QR code over here or visit wonderleeds.com/socialaser. Now, just as an aside, and because people always ask, yes, you do have the option of directing people straight to a private video on YouTube, but for me, it's a poor choice. That's because it's impersonal and difficult for you to measure because you can't exclude your own visits from the analytics. Above all, it's far too distracting. You want recipients to be 100% focused on your message and not the latest trending cat videos. You'd be better off embedding a video directly through LinkedIn messaging because at least it doesn't have the clutter. Now, creating the video and the landing page is the lion's share of the work with personalized video marketing. However, it will all be for nothing if nobody watches them. That's why how you introduce your videos is almost as important as the video itself. And this is another situation where increased personalization and an ability to empathize with the person you are contacting will pay serious dividends. Now, besides the message itself, there are two primary psychological levers you can pull on to improve your chances of somebody clicking to view your video. Now, rather than using obscure URLs like these, which give users no indication what lurks on the other side of a click, it is far better to use personal URLs, easy for me to say, like these, which can be done using your website as shown here, where using hello along with the person's name and creates a much more, with the URL structure, creates a much more compelling and descriptive destination. Now, in SOCIALASER, this can be taken to the next level by integrating a custom personalized sending domain, such as my from-dave.to domain. This means all the video links I send people look like personal little notes, which is exactly what they are. Now, data from global leader on URL shortening Bitly shows customized links like these increase click-through rates by 34% compared to standard obscure ones. And that can make a huge difference to the overall success. The second lever that you can utilize is the link preview. When you share a URL in a LinkedIn message, it generates a preview like this using data embedded on the link page. It then adds it to the end of the message text. Now, evidence from Forbes Insights shows that 59% of company decision makers would rather watch a video than read an article or a blog post. And this means that using the thumbnail to visibly demonstrate that you are linking to video content is a great way to encourage more views. You can make this even more enticing by adding personalization to the thumbnail itself. Now, if you follow this approach, you will not get a response first time from everyone. And when you've invested time in creating a video, you owe it to yourself to have another go at starting that all-important conversation. But how you handle your follow-ups is really important. And I believe that a lot of salespeople do them completely wrong. The problem is that what most people really appreciate is space. Yet what a lot of salespeople do is they take it all away. If we think back to the Ehrenberg-Bass study that I referred to earlier, they based their entire sales and follow-up strategy on a 5 in 100 model. 2 or 3 days after the first message, they send a follow-up, then another one a few days later, then another one a few days after that, and then another one a few days after that. Every message pushes for action because they concentrate solely on finding the needles in the haystack who have an immediate pressing need. On an extremely rare occasion, that relentless persistence may work, but most of the time it has precisely the opposite effect as intended. It torpedoes any opportunity to build meaningful relationships with the majority of people further down the line. That's because it ignores the reality that most of them aren't ready to buy. It turns off nearly everyone who associate irrelevant, unrealistic approaches as spam. Now, if you turn that approach entirely on its head and instead start focusing on your activity on the 95% of buyers who aren't ready to buy yet but might have a need one day, then strange events can start to unfurl. A lot of people start to react favourably because they recognise someone who understands the reality of their world, who seems like a positive person to do business with, and they start to listen. And when you have their attention, then remarkable things can happen, as we will see shortly. Now, the final part of the process should be the final stage of any good sales and marketing campaign, and that is measuring the results of your efforts. And if you get it right, the results can be pretty remarkable. The best measure I can give you for what is achievable is from analysis of my earliest videos, when I was no more adept than you would be if you started out now. These were all sent to previously uncontacted targets in the UK manufacturing sector. Now, from 120 videos created and sent over a 3-month period, I had a view rate of 55%, an overall response rate of 44%, and amazingly, a lead generation rate of 10.8%. That means that 80% of all viewed videos generate a response, and 1 in 5 of those generate a lead. Those results were proved to be almost 20 times more effective than cold calling. But it wasn't just the level of response that amazed me. It was the nature of the responses which came back that really blew me away. People I had never previously spoken to were sending me messages like, "Dave, that is the best approach ever," through LinkedIn. And "Dave, I absolutely love this. If I could find the applause emoji, I'd send it." And this one from Tracy is my personal favourite. Now, these people weren't your average employees either. Nearly all were MDs, business owners, CEOs and board level directors of multi-million pound companies. Typically some of the hardest people to get any kind of response from, let alone one so positive. And why can all that happen? Well, B2B marketing works when you concentrate a high degree of effort on a relatively small target audience. In other words, when you demonstrate high value to a highly relevant group of individuals. Sadly, most outbound sales and marketers do the reverse. They think of outbound activity as a numbers game. They concentrate all their resources on a futile attempt to reach as many people as possible with the least amount of effort. That approach is unsustainable in a world that is already saturated with generic marketing noise. The reality is, mass marketing in a B2B context is a massive sinkhole of time, effort and money masquerading as activity. And it's easy to get caught in the trap of thinking that activity equals progress, when really that activity is falling on deaf ears, or worse, permanently alienating the very people you're trying to build a relationship with. Personalised video marketing is a big effort, small target approach, and therein lies its power. Because when all is said and done, it doesn't matter where we live, what job title we hold, or what resources we have behind us. Nobody has more than 24 hours in a single day. If you can demonstrate to another person that you care enough about them to invest your most precious resource, time, then people will notice. Now, congratulations everyone, you have made it to the end of this session, and before I check out the chat and see whether any questions have come, you'll probably realise that we have covered a lot of ground today and only scratched the surface of many topics. If you think that this approach could work for you and you want more detailed guidance on the entire process, then the best place to start is through this, the Wonder Leeds book, which is available from all good retailers in print, ebook and audiobook versions. It's an international bestseller and a recipient of an Axiom Business Book Awards Silver Medal, which puts it alongside some pretty cool past winners, including Seth Godin, Tony Robbins, Ryan Holiday and Peter Drucker. You can find out more and see a full list of stockists by scanning the QR code in the top corner or following the link in the that I've added in the stream description. If online learning is more your thing, then you may also be interested in our top-rated self-paced Wonder Leeds course on Udemy. It's action-packed and includes loads of resources to help you along on your personalised video journey. You can find out more by scanning the QR code in the bottom corner or by following the link that I've added in the description. And if you want to take your personalised video marketing skills to a whole different dimension, then you may also want to check out our one-to-one training options. These are ideal ways to rapidly guide your team through the entire Wonder Leads process. You can find out more by following the link in the stream description. Now, after all of this, you might well be wondering, well, what does a personalized video marketing message look like? And if you are curious and want to see an example, then I've uploaded the video that I sent to Tracy, which is the one that generated my favorite ever response, to SOCIALASER for you to have a look at. You can view it by following the link just below the you can see on screen now, and it's also been added to the stream description. And finally, if you've enjoyed my presentation today and we aren't already connected, please do connect with me on LinkedIn by scanning the QR code in the bottom corner or by using the link in the description. I post daily hints and tips about all things related to positive sales and marketing. And you can also engage in the discussion and stay on top of all my posts by following the hashtag DaveOfWonders. Thank you all so much for joining me on our maiden live stream event, and I hope it's given a few of you a few ideas to go away and make some improvements within your own business. And thank you all again for joining me, and apologies to anyone who didn't get a chance to put a question down. If you do think of one after the event and you'd like to pick one up, then you can send one through to me on LinkedIn and we can happily pick up the conversation in there. Until the next time, I hope all of you have a super positive week. Cheers.